Hey, welcome back to GrazeLand. I'm Nate, and today we are moving this chicken coop over to this spot. Okay, so we got some flags going down here, and basically this row of flags is going to be the chicken run. It goes all the way to the edge of the fence there. I left enough room that I can walk around from the outside of it, so the chicken run and the chicken coop won't be physically touching the exterior fence. And this little section, these 4 flags right here, is going to be where the chicken coop is going to be. And I'm going to take some of these old railroad ties and I'm going to stack them up in a U shape like this, so that way the chickens can access it from this direction, and during the day they can use it for shade, or they can use it if it's raining, or they can even, maybe I'll put some sand under it and they can have a place to roll around in the dirt or something if they want to do that. But yeah, they'll only be able to access it from inside the chicken run. All 3 sides will be covered by the railroad ties, and then the doorway to the chicken coop, that door right there, will go right here. And then so I need to clear out this rock, so this will be like a gravel walkway going to the chicken coop. And to access the eggs, we're going to access them from right here on this side of the fence, which is also part of the front yard or the backyard. So this is where we're going to access the eggs. So first thing I need to do is move these railroad ties all out of the way. And I got demon dogs next door that are very rude, so you probably hear those occasionally.
The previous owner used this portion of the backyard as a garden, and they used old railroad ties to map out the garden. And railroad ties are actually full of chemicals to help preserve the wood, but those chemicals have been proven to also seep into your soil, so you don't want to use railroad ties anywhere you're growing food that you plan on consuming. So I had to get those out of there. I'm also going to be using these railroad ties as the base to elevate the chicken coop off the ground. And the final resting spot where the chicken coop will be going and where the railroad ties are going is not going to be gardened. It's also a pile of rocks with a black tarp underneath the rocks. So there's no soil growing in that area, and it can't seep into the soil where it's going to be sitting in its final spot. Sadly, all these bushes on the fence line here are already dead. When I first moved in, there might have been a few leaves left on them, if that, and they're bone dry. And from the looks of it, it looks like the soil hasn't been watered in a long time back here either. This was filmed like in the fall time approximately. So I'm clearing way so I can rip out the remaining railroad ties to get them out of the soil. Now we're about at that point in the show where we have to move the chicken coop from where it's currently sitting to its new home. In a perfect world, I'd get some massive lag bolts or something to connect those railroad ties together, but I'm trying to make this on a budget. So if you want to see how to move heavy objects on your own, I'll put a link up here in the corner. I already showed extensively how to move it. If you're enjoying the show and you want to help out, all you got to do is click that like button and maybe share this video with a friend. It helps out tremendously and it doesn't cost you anything. I think too much of YouTube only shows the perfection in projects and doesn't show the struggle. So I thought it would be good to show you that there's a lot of struggle here. And hopefully you're learning from my mistakes if you plan on elevating a chicken coop. If I would do this over again, you'll see shortly how I solved this problem. And that is to roll it off of the boxes completely and get a long railroad tie on either side, and then basically roll it up on the pipes like it's a ramp. Made it a lot easier. And finally, this is a perfect example of life is difficult, and if you keep trying and trying, if you don't kill yourself, you will succeed. Probably. There used to be a window here, but I'm removing that window and covering it up because I don't want road access to the chicken coop and to help insulate the coop in the wintertime. The previous owner had this as a playhouse for their kids, I'm assuming, and there was no support system on the inside. I get it, they built it on a budget, but I wanted to be able to insulate my walls and give the birds a little bit more protection. I cut out a window there on the side, and so the nesting box will be on the outside of the coop just to give the chickens that much more room and to make harvesting the eggs that much easier. Those with a watchful eye will notice that all of a sudden there's magically tons of wood chips and the grass magically grew and turned green. You can see most of those bushes back there are still dead. I'll explain the wood chips in a later video. If you're taking notes and trying to figure out how much it costs to make this chicken coop, the coop came with the house, or I should say the playground came with the house. And so far, up until this point, I spent nothing on it except for the gas for the chainsaw and the weed eater. These panels, though, I got them at Lowe's, and they're primed, engineered panels that are 4 feet by 8 feet. So if you're doing the math, this chicken coop is 8 feet long by 4 feet wide by 4 feet tall, not including the pitch. The panels are currently $46.78 each, and because of the nesting box and the pitch, it takes 4 full pieces to complete this project, not 3. Now for the final side, we have 2 windows, and I decided to cut them out to make them the same size where before they were not. And the chicken wire, I worry that that's not going to be strong enough for critters to get in there. So I may reinforce that, but I'm going to have shutters that will typically be closed, but I can open them from the outside to allow air flow into the chicken coop. All this white wood you see is actually leftover scraps from a fence I installed in the front yard. Video to come on that hopefully in the future, so you can watch and learn from my mistakes with that one. That was a fun project to work on. Some leftover scrap from the cat house that I built, and that video is on the channel if you want to watch that. Originally I was going to have the roof open up, but thank you to another YouTuber, I forgot what channel it was that I saw the video on. They're saying that it's better to have your doors open on the side instead of from the top, because it's less likely to spook the chickens if they're sitting on the eggs when you go to collect them. Also, I was thinking if the roof is fixed, it's less likely to leak. So that was why you saw a little bit of a last minute change on the wall being able to open up. Now we're putting on the final touches of the chicken coop, and I'm installing the run chicken door. I got the red color, and this is automatic. It can also be set up to be on a timer, but I just have it set up for automatic. At dawn and dusk, it automatically goes up and down. And I do that because I have a crazy sleeping schedule and I'm not consistent, so that way the chickens aren't stuck in there for hours before I finally wake up. I've tested this door for a few months now, and every time I go out there at night or during the day, it is properly open or properly closed based on the time of day. And I've yet to see if any critters have been caught in there while the door is shut on them, so I think it's slow enough that they're alerted to run out of there if it makes a noise. One test that I did is to see if I cover up the center, if the door immediately shuts, and it doesn't. It takes a little bit of time before it finally shuts. And I was thinking, like, if a dark cloud cover came or something, would the chickens end up getting locked out? The one thing I do worry about is there's a bypass button on there if you need to open it, if it didn't open on its own, or if you need to close it. And I worry that raccoons could get smart enough to figure out to push the button. But this is eventually going to be where I'm sitting right now. This is going to be the chicken run. So the chicken run can be shut too at night to prevent the raccoons from being able to access where that button is. But something to think about if your door is going to be out into your pasture or your yard. And we're coming to the end of the video. If you're still watching, thank you for watching. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already, and let me know what you think of the chicken coop. So far, I still need to make the final shutters for the windows, and I want to replace the door. Also, I need to insulate the inside, and I want to make it somewhat water resistant on the inside to make it for easier cleaning. So if you want to see the results of that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing some of your feedback on how I could have made this better or make better improvements on it so we can all learn and grow together. Thanks for watching. You have an amazing day.